Hello, my name is Kurt Turnison, and I am the founder and CEO of RiskRevu. And I want to take this opportunity to thank the Insurance Agency Owners Alliance for the chance to speak with their members today. I also want to thank all of you for tuning in. I'm very excited to talk with you about information sharing trends and how SmartForms can help you modernize the client experience at your agency and save time. I started in the insurance business about 15 years ago as a producer at an agency in Connecticut. About 5 years ago, I noticed the InsurTech movement growing in popularity, and I also saw many companies focusing on customer experience. Given these trends, I decided to make some changes in my practice to keep up with the times. I played around with automation, newsletters, digital marketing, social media, a new website, and many other things. However, the biggest and most impactful change I made was incorporating SmartForms into my sales and service workflows. I experienced amazing success with this one change. I saved a lot of time, and my clients were appreciative as well. Based on this experience, I thought other agents would benefit from SmartForms as well. And that's where RiskRevu began. At RiskRevu, we build SmartForms to help agents gather information from clients and prospects online. So let's start our discussion today by talking about 4 current information trends. COVID has increased our reliance on technology at an extremely rapid pace. Trends that were already affecting change are picking up speed because of social distancing and telework requirements driven by the global pandemic. Changes in consumer behavior around information gathering were already in the works prior to COVID because of technology improvements and cybercrime. However, COVID has added further issues around information sharing for us to consider. Today's presentation will highlight the trends around information sharing that agents should be aware of and demonstrate how SmartForms can help agents meet the demands of our modern world. The first trend I want to share is consumers are more selective about who they give their information to and what they give. Over the last decade, consumers have become increasingly aware of the dangers of sharing information. They know that if the wrong person gets a hold of their information, they could become the victim of a telemarketing scam, cybercrime, or identity theft. If any of you have been the victim of any of these, you'll probably agree that you're much more careful when it comes to the information you share today. The next trend is that there is an increased demand from consumers for privacy and control. It's no surprise that consumers want better protections in place for their information. Through no fault of their own, they are becoming victims because their information was stolen either through a data breach or another theft of their information. They want and need solutions to protect themselves and their information. Here are some solutions that have been created for this purpose. There's a credit freeze with all 3 credit bureaus, so you can prevent anybody from accessing your credit without your permission. There's credit monitoring so that you know when someone is accessing your credit. The Global Data Protection Regulation was put in place by the European Union to protect consumers there. And the California Consumer Protection Act gives consumers in California the right to request their information from companies and to have their information deleted from their systems. These are just a few of the solutions and regulations that have been put in place to protect consumers, and there will certainly be more of them down the road. The third trend is about how companies can gain a competitive advantage when information sharing and data gathering procedures are put in place. If you think about the first 2 trends, number 1, consumers are more selective about the information they share. And number 2, they want more protection and control of their information. This third trend is a natural byproduct of those. Basically, if a company takes the time to put thought to how they collect consumer information and their plan is in line with consumer wishes, they will build trust with their consumers. This additional trust would put this company in an advantageous situation relative to a competitor who does not have the same procedures in place. I placed the logos for Apple, Chase, and Amazon on this slide as an example of trusted companies who have clearly spent time and resources on their information strategies. Trend number 4 demonstrates that younger generations prefer to transact and communicate online through digital platforms. Through some research, I found a relevant study published by Deloitte, a global consulting firm, in 2020. In this study, they did a survey of 200 EMEA insurance executives. One of their findings was there will always be a need for customers to be able to speak to knowledgeable and friendly staff in more complex situations. Yet consumer behavior is changing. Younger generations tend to prefer to transact and communicate online and through digital platforms. Further along in the study, another relevant statement was made. To remain attractive to these consumers, insurance companies need to find ways of helping them do this, transact online in a streamlined way. I know this may seem obvious to many of us. However, a question could be, how can we change our business practices to accommodate this trend? If there's one thing that I would take away from this discussion about information sharing trends, it is that this is a topic that agencies should focus on in 2021, if they haven't already. Agents collect a lot of information from consumers, and consumers have to provide it in order to get a quote. Having a defined strategy around information sharing will definitely be a worthwhile exercise. Now that we have an understanding about information sharing trends, let's take a look at how the work environment has changed and how SmartForms can help. The most obvious change is the place or location where we work. Most people are not going to an office these days. They're working from home. At this point, agencies have identified a work environment that is working for them and their customers. That could be anything from a fully remote workforce to a socially distanced in-office workforce to some kind of hybrid. As we go forward, companies will need to decide how or if they're going to return to the office. They're aware that most tasks can be accomplished remotely and without a significant drop in productivity or quality. However, they're also aware that face-to-face interaction is required to facilitate collaboration, build relationships, solve complex challenges, and generate ideas. No matter what the work environment emerges for your agency, SmartForms can help by giving your firm a solution to gather information digitally, no matter where they are or what the work environment looks like. SmartForms create a consistent, high quality, and professional experience for customers. Companies are also aware that there are new challenges that employees face from the changing work environment. Some of those challenges include handling remote schooling, technical issues, childcare coordination, and the removal of a clear separation between work and home life. All of these new challenges increase stress and consume time. The way SmartForms can help is by reducing stress and saving time. One of the biggest challenges is that a lot of agency work is reacting to customer needs, and that need is often unexpected in the workday. An example is when a client is buying a car. Usually this happens towards the end of the day or on a weekend, and it's a rush to get things done. The most important thing needed to get this job done is information about the new car. This situation can be stressful because of the rush nature of this task and the need to get a lot of information. A SmartForm can help by alleviating the stress and saving time. Instead of scrambling to track down the information, the agent can email a link to a SmartForm to the dealer that asks all the pertinent questions. It only takes a minute to send the email, and the dealer can enter the information at their convenience. This is just one example. Another would be if an agent is in the middle of a quote and they get a call from a prospect looking for coverage. They drop what they're doing and they take the call to gather all the information needed for a quote. It could be an hour before they get back to what they were doing. Instead, the agent could have a quick conversation with the prospect to get their email and explain the process from there. They send the prospect a link to a SmartForm that will gather all the information the agent needs, and the agent can continue working on their task. This saved an hour of time and reduced stress. Okay, no more talk about stress. Now let's start to think creatively about our workflows and how SmartForms can support our teams. In sales, producers can use well-defined and well-designed SmartForms to gather information from prospects and clients. In marketing, agencies can send an email blast to specific groups of clients with a SmartForm link enclosed to round out accounts. One agency we work with sent a campaign to all their clients about mechanical breakdown coverage. The email encouraged interested customers to click a link and complete a quick form. They got a great return on this effort, and their customers enjoyed a streamlined purchase process. For renewals, agents can engage clients at renewal by asking them to complete a renewal SmartForm that asks questions about any changes in their life. For service, agents can engage clients. Customers can go to a SmartForm on the agency website to complete a SmartForm designed around policy changes or to pay a bill. For claims, during a catastrophe, agents can send an email campaign to all affected customers, directing them to complete a claim form to start the claims process as fast as possible. In risk management, agents can use SmartForms to help determine the viability of a risk management solution, like automatic water shutoff valves for a customer. Loss control. Customers can complete a SmartForm to give agents information about loss controls on a regular basis to enable better risk management advice. Client feedback. Agencies can send an email campaign to their clients with a SmartForm designed around the Net Promoter Score model to gain valuable customer feedback. Employee collaboration. A SmartForm can be used to streamline the policy issuance process by having the producer complete a form that gathers details for exactly how an account should be issued when someone else is issuing the account. Basically, any workflow that involves the exchange of information between two parties could use a SmartForm to streamline the process. Now, in order to understand the value that SmartForms can bring, let's review some commonly used information gathering techniques and the issues that accompany them. Agents use these information gathering techniques every day and deal with the frustrations they bring. Phone calls can have a bad connection. Meetings can get canceled last minute. The same emails get written over and over again. Faxes are not legible. PDFs have to be printed. Here are some of the issues with the commonly used information gathering techniques that affect the client experience. Inconsistent questioning. It's difficult to coordinate a meeting just to find the right time. People are busy. Sometimes there's missing information and you have to call a client or prospect back. The data is not structured in a way that a computer can understand it. Sometimes questions are overlooked. Sometimes agents make assumptions because they forgot to ask a question. Conversations with prospects or clients that go too long can become stressful. Auditory deficiencies are also an issue if there's a bad phone connection. You can't understand the person on the other end of the line. These methods also do not support automation. Utilizing SmartForms can bring significant benefits to an agency. The experience is night and day for the agent and the client. SmartForms save time. They give you clean and structured data. The data is secure. It speeds up the process. It reduces stress. It's a modern solution. SmartForms are smart. They use conditional logic to allow and enable the client to not see questions that are irrelevant to them. They are consistent. They are convenient. They're simple to use. They enable automation because the computer can understand the data, and they're professional. Now that we've covered the benefits of SmartForms, let me take a few minutes to show you a modern information gathering process for an agency. And for this, I'm going to jump in to the RiskRevu platform. So here you see the RiskRevu dashboard. And the first thing that a new RiskRevu user does when they sign up for RiskRevu is they go to Edit Profile to set up what we call the public profile. Here they fill out a simple form, put their agent, their name, they upload a headshot, they can put a cover image, a logo, contact information, social media links, a brief bio. They can select some additional features that they'd like, and then they choose the forms that they'd like to show up on their profile. RiskRevu has 3 types of forms. The first is risk evaluations. Risk evaluations are designed to gather updated information, risk information from an existing client, kind of like renewal questionnaires. The second type of forms are new policy forms. These are forms designed to gather information from prospects or clients for new lines of business. And the last types of forms are called service forms. Service forms take existing service workflows, take the information gathering aspects of those workflows and turn them into a SmartForm. So once all the forms are selected, the user hits Save Profile, and now they're ready to use the forms. So they jump over to the Forms button. They go to Share Forms, and here they can see all the forms they just selected to have on their profile. And we're going to jump to one of our most popular forms, which is the New Vehicle Information Client Form. So here they can copy the link to this form, and I'm going to jump over to our email program here to show you this functionality, and say they want to send this to a new client, said that they're buying a new car, and ask what information we need from them. So here's an email that says, actually this is to the dealer, so client. So here is a quick form email and a link pasted right in there. Send this email off to the client, and the client receives the email, they click the link, and it'll bring them right to the form. And I'm going to just click this hyperlink to show that form. So here's the form, and here's the experience that the client would see. They would see the agent, headshot, cover image, logo, branding, all of that information there on the right, and on the left is where they'd start filling out the form. So here they can start doing that. And I'm just going to fill out some quick fields here to show this functionality. So they go through and they complete all the different fields, and you can see there's conditional logic here. What type of purchase is this? Lease, finance, or cash purchase? If it's a lease, there's a drop down and there's many different lien holders that they can choose from, or they can choose other and write it in. Are you replacing the vehicle you currently own? If yes, what are you replacing it with, and what date will you sell the old vehicle? Will you transfer the plates? So on and so forth. Once they're ready to submit, they just hit yes and then hit the submit button. Before I do that, I want to show these 2 buttons here because these are really powerful features. If the client is busy and the person filling out the form is busy and they don't have time to finish, they can hit save and continue. They'll receive an email with a link to go back to the form when they have time. If the agent wants to pre-fill the form for whoever they're sending it to improve that client experience, they can do that by hitting agent, save and continue, and no email will be sent to the client. And so they hit that, and then they can send a saved form link to that client. And when the client clicks the link, they will see that form with all the information that's already been inputted by the client or by the agent. So let's hit the submit button. And now that information has been sent to the agent. And the agent logs back into their RiskRevu account, and they can go back and click the responses button. And then they can view that information by hitting the view button. And there it is. They can also print this submission to a PDF to save to their agency management system or ImageWrite or whatever. All right. So that's just a quick demonstration of what a modern experience would look like. And as you can see, there's several other different types of forms that the user would be able to use. And one of the other things that's important about a modern client experience with SmartForms is the ability for the SmartForm to come from the individual that's going to be using the SmartForm. So with RiskRevu, everybody in the agency can have their own account and their own forms. And this is the group dashboard where other users can be added to the platform. All right. So now I'm going to jump back to the presentation. And now let's take a look at some insights and results that RiskRevu users have experienced with our SmartForms. First, we analyzed the age range of the people who complete the forms and found that 5% of the users were from the silent generation. These are folks that are born earlier than 1925. 15% of the users were from the baby boomer generation. 40% were from Generation X. 35% were from millennials, and 5% were from Generation Z, Gen Z. So you can see, where the majority of those folks are, but this is obviously goes along with what we said earlier in the information trends of younger folks are more apt to do things, do transactions online, and they prefer that. Next, we conducted research to determine the number of questions, on average, that a person would answer in 2 of our most popular forms. We found, and one of our most popular forms is our homeowners form. In that form, there are 138 questions total. That doesn't mean that someone who fills that out is going to have to fill out 138 questions. It just means because there's conditional logic. So if they answer no to someone, then 4 questions don't show up, that kind of thing. So, but that form has 138 questions. That form has a 37% completion rate, which means on average, the number of questions that a person's going to answer in that form when they complete it is 51. That's a lot of information. How long would it take a person to ask 51 questions? The second form is the automobile smart form. This form has 92 total questions. Again, conditional logic, with conditional logic, the person filling out the form is not going to see all 92, potentially. That form has a 41% completion rate, and the average number of questions answered on that form are 38. Again, that's a lot of time saved. Lastly, we took an in-depth look at the form submissions for one of our agency users to determine how much time the forms were saving them. This agency had 7 people using the forms over an 8-month period. Here you can see the types of forms that they used. This column is the number of submissions that they received. A submission is just when a client hits the submit button or a prospect hits the submit button and submits a form. This column gives you the average minutes saved for that specific process. So for example, if you were to conduct a phone call with a client on a new homeowners line, this is estimating it takes 25 minutes to do that. On a new auto line, 20 minutes. For a whole package of insurance, home, auto, umbrella, valuables, 45 minutes. Producer issuance, if there's a lot of issues going back and forth with the producer on issuing a new account, we estimated this saves 30 minutes of time per issuance. The new car form, 5 minutes. Watercraft saves 15 minutes. Business owners, just a simple business owners policy, saves 20, so on and so forth. And then here's the total hours saved. So here, this column, and there's a little bit of a conversion here. So it's basically 89 times 25 and then divided by 60 gives you the total hours saved, right? There's a renovation construction form that saves 30 minutes. This one right here, this agency actually had us build a custom form because they were changing agency management systems, and they wanted to make sure that they had the most up-to-date contact information for their clients. So we built a form that gathers contact information from a client, and they sent an email blast to all of their clients, and they received 1,190 submissions in a very short period of time. And so we estimated it saved them about 10 minutes if they had to call every one of them to get updated information. It saved them about 10 minutes per submission. And so that was a big chunk of this. But so you can see here, just through that 8-month period with 7 people using this, about 466 hours was saved. And that is a huge time savings and stress reliever for that agency. Okay. As we come to the end of this presentation, I want to show you what the cost of utilizing RiskRevu is at an agency. We have 3 pricing plans designed for most agency sizes. The first is an individual plan. It's $49 a month. It's for 1 user, and that 1 user gets 10 client submissions, or we call them responses, per month. The second plan is the agency plan. That's $249 a month. That gives the agency up to 10 users, 10 licenses, and a total of 100 total client responses per month. And the third plan is our enterprise plan, which is $449 per month, and that gives the agency up to 25 licenses and unlimited client responses per month. Some of our agencies who only have 10 or less users will sometimes choose the enterprise plan because they use the forms for marketing. Or mass marketing. And so they'll get a lot more than 100 responses per month. We also have custom plans for agencies that need more than 25 seats. And all plans come with a 15-day free trial and the option to pay in full to receive a month free if there is there as well.